What's going on, guys? It's been a super long time since I posted a video, but a few weeks ago I had a friend ask me a lot of questions about a Roth IRA, and I initially wanted to just make this video for him and send it over to answer a couple of the questions that he had, but I figured there's a lot of people out there that could benefit from the information that I was going to give to my friend, so I figured I'd just go ahead and make a YouTube video on it and share a little bit about what I've learned over the years about a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is an investment account that has specific tax advantages that help you decrease your tax burden in retirement. The way that that works is since all the money that you put in the Roth IRA is after tax dollars, what that means is that all the money you put into the Roth IRA and the interest that grows over time will be able to be pulled out tax-free completely. Now, for those of you that might not understand after-tax dollars, that was always a tricky thing for me. I never understood, pre-tax, post-tax dollars. Basically, what after-tax dollars means is that when you get a paycheck, you've likely had taxes removed from it. So that's already money that's been taxed. So any money that you put in that Roth IRA is after-tax dollars. So that's just a quick, simple explanation of after-tax dollars. That's what that means. The next thing that I want to talk about is the income limit. So not everyone can contribute to a Roth IRA. Now, if you're watching this video, you're just learning about a Roth IRA, you likely are eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. So for anyone that's single, you can contribute to a Roth IRA as long as you make equal to or below $144,000 per year. Now, for those that are married filing jointly, the income limit to be eligible to contribute to your Roth IRA is $214,000. Again, that's as of 2022. In the future, this may change, but as it stands right now, a married couple filing jointly can contribute to a Roth IRA as long as you make equal to or below $214,000. You're probably wondering why there's an income limit on something like a Roth IRA. The only answer that I could find was from Investopedia, and they said that they don't want highly paid employees to benefit more than the average worker since the Roth IRA has specific tax advantages in the long term. So that kind of does make sense, but again, if you're wealthy enough, I guess you're not going to be too concerned about the loophole of a Roth IRA. So that's the answer that they gave. I wish I could offer a better answer. If you find a better answer, please make sure to leave it in the comments below because I'd be curious to know that as well. Now, after the income limit comes the contribution limit. So for all of those that fall into the income limit, you are eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. There are limits of how much you can contribute since this is such a tax advantage account. So for anyone that's below 50 years old, you can contribute up to $6,000 per year. So that comes out to roughly $500 a month. Now, one cool thing that I did learn is that you can make contributions for the previous year up until April 15th of the current year. So what that means is that if you haven't maxed out your Roth IRA in 2021, you have until April 15th of 2022 to catch up and finish filling and maxing out that Roth IRA for the year 2021. So that's a huge plus. That's definitely something to take note of. If you feel like you're not going to be able to invest $500 per month in 2021, just know that you'll have a little bit of catch-up time until April 15th of the following year. Now, this is going to bring me to the tricky part of a Roth IRA. The next part that I wanted to talk about is the age limit at which you can pull out money from your Roth IRA without penalty. So the age at which you can withdraw money tax-free is 59 and a half. Now, the reason that I say this is tricky, and it might not be tricky for you because that might be the age that you plan on retiring, but if you're anything like me, the idea of retiring at 60, 59 and a half, 60 years old doesn't seem that appealing. I'd like to retire far before that. So I've got a separate plan in place outside of my Roth IRA that will allow me to do that. So if you're like me and you want to retire early, definitely consider, how a Roth IRA can fit into your financial plan, because if you are going to want to retire early, just know that that money is not going to be accessible until you're at least 59 and a half. Now, of course, with those rules set in place, not being able to withdraw the money till 59 and a half, there are a couple of loopholes around this. Some that I've seen are paying things off like medical bills. I've heard of being able to pay off school debt. I don't know. I haven't looked a ton into that. And to be truthful, the reason is because any money that you put in this Roth IRA should be looked at as money that you're not going to touch for a super long time. So don't look at it as money like you can pull out for an emergency. I would really urge you all to leave any money in that account so that way you're not having to pay taxes on it and pay the early withdrawal penalties. Now, it's important to note that any money that you put in that account is your money. So if you invest $5,000 in your Roth IRA and the next year it goes up to $8,000, you can pull out your initial $5,000 in the event of a dire emergency without having to pay a penalty on it, because that $5,000 is your money. The $3,000 in gains technically is your money as well, but that's interest accrued, so you're going to have to pay taxes on that and a withdrawal penalty if you decide to pull out anything above the amount that you put in. While researching for this video, I found out how that money will be taxed and how you'll be penalized. So anything that you pull out that is interest accrued or that is above the amount that you've put in there, first off, it's going to increase your taxable income. So basically, for reference sake, we'll say you make $70,000 one year and you pull out $3,000 in interest that you've accrued in your Roth IRA. Your taxable income for that year, instead of being the $70,000 that you made, is going to be $73,000. So it's going to increase your taxable income. Secondly, you're going to have to pay a 10% withdrawal fee just to pull the money out. So if you pull out the $3,000 extra, you're going to have to pay $300 out the gate. So that $3,000 is immediately going to turn into $2,700, but you're still going to have to pay income tax on the full $3,000 that you pulled out. So that's one of the reasons why I just say don't touch the money, leave it in there till you're 59 and a half. And if you have to touch the money before then for a dire emergency, make sure that you're not pulling out interest. Only pull out the amount that you need, which hopefully is going to be lower than the amount that you've contributed to the Roth IRA, so that you're not pulling out any of that interest and getting taxed for it. So with all that being said, definitely look into how a Roth IRA is going to fit into your financial plan. It may be the perfect option for you. It may not be the perfect option for you. If you're planning on retiring earlier than 59 and a half, you'll definitely want to figure something out to where you can have access to other dollars before 59 and a half, or avoid it altogether. It's totally up to you. This is just an informational video that I figured I would make and a lot of people could benefit from. So if you found any value in this video, please feel free to comment below. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll answer as many questions as I can. Also, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as I'll be making more informational videos about this topic in the future. And we'll see you later. Thanks so much.